The doorway opened into a chamber unlike anything the traveler had ever imagined. There were no thrones, no altars, no statues, only stone. Every wall, every pillar, every archway had been carved from floor to ceiling. Thousands upon thousands of markings stretched into the darkness, so precise that they seemed almost alive beneath the faint glow of the ember behind him. For a long moment he simply stood in silence. He had searched for books, for scrolls, for forgotten libraries hidden beneath the mountain. Instead, he had found something far older. The First Age had not written its history upon parchment. It had carved its memory into the mountain itself. Fire could consume books. Empires could burn libraries. But stone remembered. He stepped closer to the first carving. Dust fell away beneath his fingertips. The ancient images seemed almost to awaken. He recognized Dragon Throne immediately, not as the broken fortress remembered in songs, but as it had once been. Alive, magnificent. Its towers reached toward a clear sky untouched by smoke. Dragons circled peacefully above its walls, while people walked openly through its streets. Children laughed beneath wings that cast shade instead of fear. The traveler stared in disbelief. Every story he had ever heard claimed dragons ruled mankind through terror. The carvings told another truth. Once, they had ruled nothing. They had lived together. The next wall revealed the moment every generation had spoken of, yet no one truly understood. The old oath. Before the great gates of Dragon Throne stood the first rulers of mankind. Facing them stood the dragon elders. Between them burned the first flame. Neither side knelt before the other. Neither claimed dominion. Together they placed their hands toward the sacred fire. Together they swore to protect it. The traveler smiled faintly. So the oath was real? The mountain answered only with silence. The carvings continued deeper into history. After the oath had been sworn, the leaders descended beneath Black Mountain. There, they entered the halls he himself had just crossed, the chamber of the old council. Men and dragons seated together in the great circle. Questions were debated, disputes settled, the first flame guarded by all. For generations, peace endured. The kingdoms of men had not yet been born. There had only been one world. Then, the story changed. Not through war, not through fire, through whispers. A single carving showed several human rulers remaining behind after the council had ended. The dragons had departed. The chamber stood almost empty. The men leaned together. Their eyes rested upon the first flame. The traveler frowned. The next carving showed another meeting. No dragons, only men. The council chamber remained the same. The conversations had changed. Again the story moved forward. More secret gatherings, more hidden discussions, more faces turned toward the sacred fire. No blood had yet been spilled. Yet somehow he knew this was where history had begun to fracture. Another panel. One figure stepped forward from the others. His hand reached toward the first flame. The others did not stop him. Instead, they watched. The carving beneath had been etched more deeply than the rest, as though whoever carved it wished these words never to be forgotten. Power shared remains peace. Power claimed becomes empire. The traveler felt the weight of those words settle upon him. This was the first plan. Not the theft itself, not the war. Only an idea, a single thought. What if mankind alone possessed the first flame? He moved farther along the wall. The carvings grew darker. The smiles disappeared. The council circle divided. Men stood together on one side, dragons upon the other. The first flame burned between them. No swords, no armies, only distrust. The betrayal had not begun with violence. It had begun with silence, with secrets, with ambition. At the far end of the chamber, the final carvings had been damaged. Great claws had gouged through the stone. Even so, the truth endured. Broken chains. The first flame carried away. Dragon throne divided. The first battles. The birth of kingdoms. The beginning of the first empire. The traveler lowered his hand. Everything he had believed had been born from this lie. The dragons had not become monsters overnight. They had become enemies only after mankind chose power over the oath. One final inscription remained untouched, smaller than the others, almost hidden beneath centuries of dust. He brushed the stone clean. The ancient words emerged. Remember this, children of the ages to come. The world was not broken by dragons. It was broken when trust gave way to ambition. May those who find these halls choose more wisely than we did. The traveler closed his eyes. He had come seeking answers. Instead, he had inherited the greatest burden in history, because now he knew the truth. And once the truth is known, it can never again be forgotten.